All right, so I'm going to try this again. My video has not been behaving, so I've tried this video actually a couple of times, and let's see if this works this time. So for specifically questions 6 and 7 about inverses, I have already done the problem a couple of times, so let me just take you through it. Now, when we start with a parabola looks like this right here. Okay, now keep in mind a parabola has this shape, so its inverse would actually be a sideways parabola. But the problem with that sideways parabola is that it fails the vertical line test, right? And so what we learn to do is that for a function to have an inverse, to even have an inverse, it has to be what we call 1, 2, 1. And that means it has to pass both the vertical line test, as it always has, but also the horizontal line test right here. So what we did back in that unit is we decided to throw away the left side of the curve, basically modify the domain, which then in turn gets rid of the bottom of the curve so that the inverse actually works. So my domain becomes x is greater than or equal to 4. That allows it to be invertible. That allows that inverse to exist. Clearly, the parabola has values above -30 because that's where the vertex is. And keep in mind that in an inverse, your domain and range switch. So if I know my original domain, I knew my original range, and I can flip these things this way. So x being greater than or equal to 4 makes y. Y being greater than or equal to -30 makes x work this way. So, all right. So anyway, then as far as actually finding the inverse, then what I did is that since this says y equals all of this stuff, then I made it x equals all of this stuff. And I made all the y into an x and the x into a y. But then after we swap them, we need to try to see if we could get this y right here all by itself. So the first thing I did to try to get that y all by itself was I decided to add 30 to both sides. Then I could see pretty quickly I could get rid of this 3 that is sitting right here by dividing both sides by 3. It's getting down a little bit closer. I decided to take the square root of both sides, and then the only thing left to do after I've taken the square root of both sides is to add 4 to both sides. Now, of note here is that I would normally, when I take the square root of both sides, put a plus or minus on that. But that plus or minus would actually bring back this bottom half of the parabola, which is not something we want. So this is my inverse. Now, keep in mind, if I have done this correctly, I should be able to see something. So on your test, what you could do is you could, I have some old stuff in my calculator, take the original function like this. And this is actually something that I asked you guys to try. And let's see, let's do the square root of, I'm going to put an x plus 30 on top with a divided by 3 on the bottom and then a plus 4. So I type that in. Here is my original function and here's my inverse. And something that I could do is in my table, let's just imagine that I picked a random value in the original function, a value above the number 4, like let's say I tried 5. Now notice that 5 gives me -27. So I'm going to try this, and I'm going to try -27. And if I've done this right, it should give me 5 in y2. And notice that it did. Or if I tried 10, see how 10 gave me 78? Then I could try 78, and hopefully in y2 it's going to give me 10 back. That kind of shows that I actually did that problem well. So let's check out problem number 7. Now in problem number 7, again, if we think of this as y equals all of this, then I'm going to go x equals 4y minus 7 over y minus 2. Again, swapped x and y. I did a quick cross multiplication, so notice y minus 2 times x would be xy minus 2x is 4y minus 7. Next line, really important, is we want all the y's together because we would like to actually isolate them. So I moved all of the y's to the left side and everything that does not have a y to the right side. So notice that I subtracted 4y from both sides and I added 2x to both sides. And now that they both have a y, I can factor that y out. And then, of course, since y is being multiplied by that stuff, a quick division leaves that y would be 2x minus 7 divided by x minus 4. And so this is my inverse right here. Now, the only other thing that I would have to say is in my original problem, I can't allow x to be 2 because it would be a place where it would divide by 0. So my original domain says x can't be 2, which means my new range would be y can't be 2. Again, vertical asymptote, horizontal asymptote. And for the same reason, in the new one, I can't have 4. That would be a vertical asymptote. And therefore, in the original range, y can't be 4. And that would kind of finish off the little portion of the test about inverses. Hopefully that works. And that'll be the end of this video. I'll come back for number 8. Bye-bye.